almost time. It's almost time. See everybody lining up to watch them come through. Almost time. You got one over there, people taking pictures with. Some people speaking Russian out here. There's all kind of people out here. Let me get farther up in the shade. Oh, here come the cows. Oh. First cowboy coming down here, so Longhorns not far behind.
How is everybody doing this afternoon?
Good.
Now, before we get started, I know we've only got a few people here today, but everybody counts. I want to know where everybody's from. If you're from Fort Worth, give me a hoot and a holler. Sounds like we got about 5 of my neighbors here. That's fantastic. Now, if you're from the state of Texas, but not from the city of Fort Worth, give me a hoot and a holler. Now, I really like it when my neighbors come to see us. I got to tell you, that's really good. Now, if you are from the United States of America, not the great state of Texas, give me a hoot and a holler. The United States. You know, that's a treat for me because nobody here in Texas has an accent. Now, if you're from outside the United States, give me a hoot and a holler. I always love it when more people come to visit. Now, the reason why I point this out is the Chisholm Trail, one half of the drovers that were on the trail did not speak English as a first language. Now, if you rolled up on a bunch of drovers and you tipped your hat and you said, "How do you do?" Well, it was probably going to come back as howdy because they didn't know how to say, "How do you do?" So with that, I'd like everybody to repeat after me. Say, "Howdy, y'all."
Howdy.
Now, don't you feel a little more welcome? Now, before we really get started, I got a quick safety tip for you. We're about to have 15 to 18 Longhorn steer come down the road here. Each one of them weigh between 1,500 and 2,400 pounds. Each one of them has horns, many of them in excess of 10 foot across. Now, when these guys come down the street, we have done long scientific studies that have shown that if you are standing up and a 2,000-pound steer with 10-foot horns decides to turn and comes towards you, you can get out of the way. So I need everybody to be standing up. We can't have anybody sitting when the cattle come by. That's a safety thing. The second thing is, if you've got a dog with you today, make sure the dog's on a leash. If the dog gets excited by the cattle, please pull the dog back. Last thing we want to do is spook the cattle. Remember, this is the cattle drive, not the running of the bulls. Now, for the same reason, if you've got a drone, please do not have a drone in the air when the cattle are going by. Again, we don't want to spook them. And the last thing is, if you want that perfect photo and you're leaning out over the road, please be aware of your surroundings. Don't just look at your phone or don't just look at your camera, because if you're doing that, the problem is those horns being 10 foot, as the cattle go by, those horns will sneak up on you. Now, what you need to do is everybody needs to pull out their phones. You need to download the Stockyards app. Now, when you download the Stockyards app, you will find all the specials down here where the best restaurants are, and you'll also find out about the historic walking tours that we do every day at 10 a.m., at 12:30, and at 2 p.m. Now, those historic walking tours They last about an hour 15 minutes. We have 5 different guides here. I like to say that I'm in the top 5 of all the tour guides here in Fort Worth. Now these guides, they will run you through all kinds of history. They will teach you about the cattle drives. They will teach you all about the stockyards, and they will even tell you why Fort Worth was a fort. So be sure to come out and take that tour. Now, the cattle drives originated in 1865. At the end of the American Civil War, you have to understand the farming had been disrupted on the East Coast. So they had a meat shortage. They actually had food shortages. Here in Texas, we had more cattle than we had people. Now that's an opportunity. Well, a guy named Joseph McCoy, he sends a message down to San Antonio. And down in San Antonio, they had a whole bunch of cattle, and he knew about it. And he said, hey, you take that cattle up to Dallas, I know you're getting $40 a head. If you can get that cattle all the way up to Abilene, Kansas, that's 800 miles north, I'll give you $40 a head. Now, $40 doesn't sound like a whole lot of money. Well, a $20 gold piece back then, well, that's 1 ounce of gold. If you're talking about 3,000 head of cattle, ladies and gentlemen, that's pirate ship money. Well, people came from all over the United States. We had people who came from all over the world. 10% of the drovers, when I say drovers, you want to read cowboy, 10% of the drovers were either newly freed slaves or they were the children of slaves. Another 10% were ex-Civil War veterans. That was a comfortable campfire to sit around. Then 1/2 were foreign born, so people coming in from all over. Now, one of the people that was on the trail was a school teacher, and she decided that she wasn't making enough money. You know, like today, school teachers make enough money. Well, she got sick and tired of being broke. So 1867, Lizzie Johnson gets on the trail, and she goes all the way up to Abilene, Kansas. Turns out she really liked it. Now, most drovers, if they would go up to Abilene, Kansas, they'd make a good amount of money. If they went up a second time, they were tough. If they go up a third time, well, they were slapping the bar in the saloon and bragging. Well, Lizzie Johnson went up there 5 times. She comes back, she buys a ranch down in Round Rock, Texas. After she bought the ranch, she married a guy by the name of Hezekiah Williams. Now, Hezekiah Williams owned his own ranch. Well, they kept the ranches separate, and at the end of the day, whenever that nice couple would have an argument, Lizzie Johnson would go over to her husband's land and steal all his cattle just to teach him a lesson. Now, when she passed away in 1924, she was the richest woman in the state of Texas, and we call her the cattle queen. Now, we had another guy by the name of Gooseneck Bill McDonald. Gooseneck Bill McDonald, born in 1866, the son of a slave. He ends up going up the trail at 13 years old. Learned how to read and write on the trail because of a guy named C.T. Adams that took an interest in him. He goes up 3 times, comes back, pays for his own college education with that money. Then he turns around, comes back here to Fort Worth, opened up a bank, and by 1900, and I think it was actually about 1898, he was the first black millionaire in the state of Texas. Not bad for starting off with nothing, right? Now, on the trail, we would have 3,000 head of cattle going north. And you got to understand, there's a lot of organization to keep it all together. You got a trail boss out front. Now, the trail boss, that's the guy that does the hiring, the firing, mapping, everything, logistics. Then on the top corners and the front corners, well, you've got the point. The point positions, those front corners, that's how you steer the herd. Then on the sides, well, you got the swing. Those are the guys making sure none of them are drifting away. And in the back corner, you've got the flank. Now, the flank is the most dangerous place to be because on flank, that's where the predators will come from. That's where you got to worry about raiders and all of that. Now, in the very back, you have the drag. So you'd have 3 or 4 guys that would be following cattle, and I got to tell you, on drag, that was on the hottest, driest day of the year. That was the wettest part of the trail. Now, right behind that, you got the remuda, and the remuda, that's your extra horses. That's where the wranglers were. And by the way, they did not use Mustangs and train them on the way. No, they trained them. They would trade those horses for trained horses. Now then, you would have the wranglers with the remuda, but out front, well, you had your chuck wagon. Now, your chuck wagon was not just a place for you to have food. And by the way, every day, if you can imagine, it was beans and hardtack. Imagine a cracker that's about 3 inches thick. And they would have beans for breakfast, beans for lunch, beans for dinner. That's why we call them whistleberries. Now we got the Fort Worth herd coming out right now. Give a round of applause, Fort Worth herd.
Howdy, cowboys and cowgirls, and welcome to the Fort Worth Herd Cattle Drive. I'm Barry Corbin. Once upon a time, the stockyards, right where you're standing, was filled with cattlemen and cowhands. Cattle were driven by men and women on horseback called drovers, with wide-brimmed hats and dirt on their boots. 150 years ago, this was their last stop before the Long Walk, over 500 miles of rugged land to Kansas. Fort Worth was the drovers' last chance to buy supplies, enjoy a good meal, and kick up their heels before months of beans and hardtack and sleeping under the stars. Today you'll catch a glimpse of that fast, but the herd is more than a spectacle. It's a reminder of Fort Worth's Western heritage, of the cowboy grit and rugged independence so ingrained in the Texas spirit. That spirit is still here, and you are a part of it. So be sure and take the hat and say howdy as the Texas Longhorns pass by with our drovers. In the stockyards, every day is a new adventure, and it starts right here with the Fort Worth herd.
All these guys.